welcome to Partner 5 and 5. Robert here at Knight Solutions. We've got another integration partner, another Procore integration partner to have a chat with today, which is great. We've got Joe from Projection. How you doing, Joe?
Great, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Good to have you with us. If you haven't seen it before, Partner 5 and 5 is really our attempt to bring to light new and interesting or existing Procore integrations that you may have not seen before or something you've heard of and you want to find out a bit more. And today we're going to spend a bit of time with Projection. We're going to try and get through 5 questions in 5 minutes. As I said on each video, we haven't hit 5 minutes. We tend to go a bit longer, but really important that we make sure we cover off all the key aspects and really get a good sense of what's going on. So Joe, if you're ready, we'll start with question 1.
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. So first question, which really is to frame the conversation and really give everyone listening a bit of an understanding of where does Projection fit and how could they potentially use it, is question 1, which is really what does the product solve? What does it do for those in construction?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it starts with that the industry really struggles getting the right data to the right people at the right time, and just the sheer amount of resources it takes to compile all of the information across the various disparate systems, to interpret it for risks, and then to take action to mitigate that risk. It's really no surprise that project teams regularly face project delays and cost overruns simply because we don't have the time to be anything other than reactionary. So Projection automates that time-consuming process. Think of it as a digital executive, where an executive can walk onto a job and recognize issues immediately just from their intuition and experience on the job. We digitize that intuition by proactively identifying critical insights and delivering those to the relevant stakeholders before projects are impacted by risks.
Yeah, awesome. That makes a lot of sense. And we were talking before the session as well. One of the things that I am big on is, look, data is really important, understanding what's going on in the project, but data is ultimately there to serve you to make the decisions and understand what's going on and ultimately what action you need to take. And I think what you guys do at Projection by taking that data and then presenting it in an actionable way definitely takes data to that next step, which I think is ultimately what people want data for in the first place. Apart from the fact it might look nice, we need to be able to know what to do with it and what ultimately that's going to be, what actions to take. And look, we'll talk about it a bit more, but obviously it connects to Procore, but connects to other things as well, which is really important. But let's try and keep on track with the time. We're a little bit closer at least, and jump into the next question for you, Joe. So just typically, what types of customers do you guys have in terms of those in construction? And within those customer profiles, is there any particular roles, like is it the project manager or someone that gets the most use from Projection?
Yeah, I mean, as a construction-specific business intelligence tool, we're agnostic really when it comes to potential customers in the industry, as there's an easy value prop across the board for every stakeholder. That said, at this stage, we're targeting decision makers within GCs, developers, and owners. When I say decision makers, roles like project managers, directors, senior PMs, executive leadership, folks who have the ability to affect change on their projects.
Gotcha. All right, that makes sense. So those who really need to make those decisions ultimately on that data. I think being time poor is probably also a big part of that as well. I came from years of project management. It feels like you're getting asked to manage more and more projects and more volume, that being able to see that decision or that information becomes incredibly becomes difficult with limited time. So I think, those decision makers being enabled, that makes sense. Let's get a bit more Procore centric. So obviously you guys integrate with Procore, and feel free to kind of talk about some of the other stuff you integrate with. It's not Procore, but interestingly, some of the other ones that you integrate with, apart from Procore, also do integrate with Procore themselves. So it's kind of a nice little trinity there where it all connects. But if I have Procore and I look at Projection, I think, well, that makes sense to me. I want to grab that. How does it work together with Procore? What's sort of moving between the two, and how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, we pull raw data directly over Procore's API into our system. And so whatever module the end user is using, if it's the construction admin documentation, budgeting, scheduling, inspections, anything and everything in between that
Mhm.
end user might be utilizing Procore for, we can pull into our system. Now, what's I think different from using Procore standalone versus what you get with Projection is a dynamic perspective on the project data. So we cache historical data and provide snapshots in time over history so that you can see what was happening 3, 6, 12 months ago, that you can build up um, use cases, you can build up trend analysis and historical patterns so that you can have better projections of what's coming and
Mm.
be better suited to mitigate risks as they show up. Um, Now we also do integrate with other systems as well, CMIC, Autodesk, schedules virtually every schedule software out
Yeah.
there, so that we can provide that high resolution picture across the board from a project management standpoint.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm curious that data that comes in, whether it is Procore or something else, in terms of, apart from being an analytics or sort of BI kind of style tool, the things that are presented for action, is that kind of logic driven within projection, or is the user kind of
Yeah.
inputting, hiding that, or is it a bit of both?
Yeah, it's logic baked within projection. So we
Okay.
have a combination of um, ML AI algorithms that are
Yeah.
uh, uh, expediting the analysis that can happen, while we're also layering heuristical algorithms based on industry experience, what we expect to see.
Yeah.
And so we with the combination of these things, we're able to show where should you be relative to what's happened, relative to what else is happening around the industry,
Yeah.
and then where you are actually and what that trajectory looks like.
Yeah. So not to sort of simplify the product, but that's kind of the secret sauce for you guys, that the algorithm style of actually pulling in the data and giving something meaningful you can understand and take action on. So
That's
that
right.
sounds like it would be a pretty big job keeping that up to date and working there, but obviously that's your specialization. So well, let's jump on to the next question here. So yeah, look, I'm a big fan of what Projection is proposing, but let's say we're someone else, a customer, and they jump on board. What's the experience like with Projection in terms of, is it a big rollout process, or is it pretty straightforward? And do you guys support that? And then what's the kind of ongoing customer support for new customers?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I come from the built world and am familiar with onboarding a lot of different project management software and just know what a burden that can be. So we really focused on making the onboarding process as simple as possible, where it's in essence plug and play.
Okay.
And so from a services standpoint, we offer a broad range. I mean, understanding the industry is still somewhat in the infancy stages of tech adoption, we offer kind of that white glove full service consulting, where we'll provide a team of construction professionals to regularly meet with our end users,
Hmm.
develop their strategy, consult on how to use their tech stack to get the most out of projection. But then those who are a little bit further along in their data strategy and a little bit more on the tech savvy side that might not need all of that help, we
Hmm.
also just provide a quick onboarding for them, hand them the keys, and they're off to
Yeah,
the
great.
races.
Almost, if you've got that experience, it might be somewhat of a plug and play experience to a degree. Is that fair to say?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I like products that are easy to onboard, and yeah, look, it's there's a lot of history in construction, especially you coming from the industry as well. There's
Yep.
been years and years of bad implementation, so having
Mm,
options for customers to kind of ease them through that process is definitely really important as well.
yep.
Well, let's my favorite question. Let's jump onto at number five, which is what's kind of coming for projections. So if we sort of look
Mm.
down 6, 12 months from now, where you guys want to take the product, is there anything that you can talk about that you're adding to it, or sort of features you want to enhance?
Yeah, I mean, the backlog of feature requests is long, as you can imagine.
Yes.
But
Yes.
and I think we hit on it a little bit earlier. I mean, the secret sauce is in how we utilize AI and ML,
Mm,
and ultimately the direction of the industry, right? And so
exactly.
that's there's a lot of resources being pumped into enhancing our AI and ML capabilities, for speed of analysis, for precision of predictions, and enhancing, expanding the spectrum of recommendations, like what to do with this set of information.
Yeah.
As those things, as we get more and more data, those things become more and more precise. And all of those are critical, both for the direction of our company as well as for the industry as a whole.
Yeah, awesome. And I know everyone's kind of familiar with the term AI, but not everyone with ML. So if you're wondering what that is, that Joe keeps referring to, we're talking about machine learning, which is often let's call it a companion with AI, that allows the processing and analysis of data as well. So look, that sounds like to me, that's the area, that's the answer I want to hear from you guys. It's kind of, there are a lot of options out there, some better, some worse, some great, that do kind of analytics and data. But as I said, coming back to what we talked about in question one, is, well, that's great, but what do I do with that data? You guys are really focused on that. It makes a lot of sense. So, well, look, I don't know if we've kept to the 5 minutes, but I think we've kept it a little bit tighter than we did over the last time, so which is great. But look, we'll put some information out for everyone on Projection. Look, highly recommend you have a look at it. It's a really great option if you're looking at analytics and you also want to take that step further to know what to do with it. And definitely a great Procore partner to check out. So thank you very much for your time, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert. Great to catch up.
Thank you. Cheers.
See you.